they say is the dream, but the silence feels louder than it seems. Applications sent like ships in the dark. No replies, no spark, no start. You think it's a paper, just words on a page, but it's a system to break out the cage. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast, leave the doubt in the past. Worried they're looking at the years you wear, like time erased what you bring to the chair. But it's not about age, it's the way you play. Pushing yourself, lead the way, the way. Connect to the ones who make the calls, shake the fear, break the walls. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast, leave the doubt in the past. Worried they're looking at the years you wear, like time erased what you bring to the chair. But it's not about age, it's the way you play. Pushing yourself, lead the way, the way. Connect to the ones who make the calls, shake the fear, break the walls. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast, leave the doubt in the past. Get higher fast, it's more than your past. You're the go-to pro, let the world know. Get higher fast.
You scroll through hundreds of job descriptions, but they all sound the same. You spend so much time on every application, but it doesn't seem to matter. You send off application after application, but never hear back. You thought the interview went so well, but it's a no. You jump through all the hoops. The news keeps saying how there are all these employers that are struggling to find people to hire. So why does finding a great job have to be so hard? It doesn't seem very logical or fair. It's not. The system is broken. It's not your fault. The process most people go through to get a job is awful. But here's the good news. The system isn't very smart. In fact, it's downright dumb. It can be beaten. How? Most prospective employers and employees today are using the same old tired strategies that have been around forever. It's like professional camouflage. Everybody just blends into the crowd. But you don't have to be that way anymore. You can get traction. You can stand out from the crowd to unleash your God-given potential, to help a world in need, to do work that matters, to earn what you and your family deserve. You can do this. You're meant to do this. There are bright things on the horizon for you. This is the way. Welcome to the workshop. Get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope, so that you can do work that matters and earn what you and your family deserve. My name is Eric Woodard. I'm a high-performance career and leadership coach based out of Washington, D.C. And if you are here on this Tuesday in January, really want to acknowledge you for being here. Know how valuable your time is. The fact that you are here is really just an indicator that you take your career seriously and you're not messing around. You're somebody who's wanting to go out and make the world a better place in 2026. So just really want to acknowledge you for being here. And if you're watching the replay, you're pretty cool. Not quite as cool as the people who are here live, but also fairly cool. So look, folks, I am really curious to know who's here. If you would put in the chat where you're from and how long you've been in the job search, because I would like to know. So where you're from, how long you've been on the job search. Because look, folks, sometimes being on the job search can feel a lot like pounding sand. Sometimes it can feel like waiting on a glacier. Other times it can feel like wandering through the desert. I see you there, Ray, 7 months for you, right? I see you there, Kiri in the Garden State, Eric in Detroit. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Mary in Round Rock. Hi, Jeffrey in West Palm, right? Sometimes Sabrina in Atlanta, it can feel like wandering into the arena, Miriam in Florida. Other times, Todd in Houston, it can feel like looking into an abyss. Hey there, Yenny in New Jersey. I see you there in Newark. So who is this for? If you are, hey, Juan in Miami, if you are unsure about the direction you want your career to go, hey there, Odiana in Atlanta and Tom in the Windy City. If you are struggling to find ways to describe what you do, Christina in South Carolina and North Carolina, if you are uncertain if your resume is any good, if you are wrestling with how to follow up after you apply, Tina, I see you there. I hope you're feeling better, Tina. If you're tired of applying and hearing nothing back, hey there, Vigeshwar in Indianapolis, I see you there. And hi, Leanne in Phoenix. If you're doing interviews that seem to go great and then you get a big fat no, Chomika in Atlanta. And if you're trapped in a job that you don't like and you're just not sure how to escape, and then most of all, if you're losing hope, my friends, this is a workshop for you. On the other hand, if you are super casual about your career, really kind of not willing to do much work, reluctant to take responsibility for the results you've been getting, just really interested in finding a job to make sort of money, sort of stuck in your ways, closed-minded about trying new things. Hey there, Robin in Arizona. If you're unwilling to be authentic, this may not be the best workshop for you. So what you're going to learn today, how to get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. I'm going to offer you 4 strategies and 9 tactics that you can put to work right today so that you can do work that matters and pays what you and your family deserve. So our agenda for today, some of you have signed up for this workshop because maybe you have friends or family or colleagues that have used our program. You've seen the results that they've got and you know all about me. And a lot of you are like, who the hell is this guy? You don't know. So I'm just going to tell you briefly like where I'm coming from so you can understand that. Again, 4 strategies, 9 tactics. And I also have an invitation for those of you. Hey, Gloria in Minneapolis. Hope you guys are doing okay in Minneapolis today. For those of you who know about this program and already know you're interested and you want to book a free coaching call with me and my team, I'm going to have an invitation to do that. I'll talk more about that later. We've got Jessa who just dropped a link in the chat. Hi, Jessa. She's on my team. So if you already know you want to book a call, the only requirements are you're not going to book a call and cancel. Please don't do that. You're at least open to the idea of investing in yourself. You want somebody to invest in you, invest in yourself, and then you're ready to get started. But we'll talk more about that in a second. And that's what it looks like to book a call. And that's the link. All right. And then we'll have time for Q&A because I don't have anything after this. I don't have anything right after this. Hey there, Saif in Texas. Hope you're doing okay today, Saif. All right. So who is this guy? Why does he think he can help me find a job? Well, let's find out. So I'm kind of a weirdo. I grew up in Asia. I came to the States when I was 17, transferred college 7 times. Like I was not on any kind of a solid career path, folks. It was a little messy, right? So here I am in the Midwest wondering why it's so damn cold and where are the leaves and all the trees. I wound up moving to the island of Guam, where I became a scuba instructor, spent about 10,000 hours underwater with the fish, and that was fun, right? But after 10,000 hours underwater, my brain got a little spongy, and I thought, I got to sort of pull it together career-wise. So I sat down one day, and I thought, what would be the most prestigious job I could find? What would that be? So I thought, obviously, that must be like the White House. So I took out a piece of paper and hand wrote a letter and said, Dear Mr. President, you should hire me. This is probably the worst cover letter ever written. So I mailed that sucker off. I was kind of proud of myself. I knew I would never hear back. But about a month later, I was going past the Guam post office and the guy came out with an envelope. He's like, Eric, you got a letter from the White House. And I'd never seen an envelope from the White House. That was pretty cool. So I opened it up and it was an internship application. Now, Saif and Christopher, I didn't know what the hell an internship was, but I was really good at figuring out, at filling out applications because I transferred so many times. And you're right, Christopher, scuba diving was a good career and not long-term, at least not for what I wanted to do, right? But I was really good at filling out applications. So I filled that out, sent that internship application in. I thought, I'm never hearing back about that. And I didn't, but that got me a little inspired. I applied to some grad schools, right? I got into GW, sort of landed in Washington, D.C. with this big bushy haircut. It was like dumpster diving for furniture, right? Wound up buying a pair of running shoes, was out on the National Mall one day, ran past the White House. And I was like, those White House bastards, they never even bothered to let me know about that internship thing. What is up with that? So I found a payphone. I put in a quarter. I called them up. I said, hey, you White House bastards, what about that internship thing? And they're like, is this Eric from Guam? I'm like, yes. They're like, man, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You're supposed to start in the First Lady's office on Monday. So I was like, well, that's interesting. So I got a haircut, bought a suit, and I showed up. Now, folks, I don't know if your politics match mine. I guess please forgive me if they don't. This is going to tell you how old I am. This is back during the Clinton administration. I went to work for Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was a great boss. I eventually got hired on her staff, was one of the few guys in Hillary land, stayed with her through the Clinton administration, wound up moving with her to the U.S. Senate, right? You heard this story. That's right, Saif, right? Moving with her to the U.S. Senate, right, where we represented the great state of New York. And then I wound up at the U.S. State Department where I did UNESCO stuff. That was pretty cool, right? And eventually I left Hillary land and became director of fellowships and internships at the Smithsonian Institution. And all during this time, working with people at all different levels, right? All different levels in their career, senior people, junior people, engineers, software people, anthropologists. I would see the same pattern over and over again, right? Where people were trying to figure out the working world, which isn't very linear, logical, or fair, and they had trouble. So started my own coaching practice about 5 years ago. I give a lot of talks, do a lot of coaching, written a bunch of books. I have an outrageous number of very impressive pieces of paper, glowing testimonials, and you don't care about any of that. Because what you care about is, can I help you? I don't know, probably, maybe. Let's find out. So 4 strategies. Here we go. Here's the first one, folks. What's a good resume about? If you would put it in the chat, I'd be curious to find out if you know. What's a good resume about? What do you think? What do you think about this? Hey, Sabrina from Upper Michigan. Yeah, since July. I see you. I see you, Sabrina. So glad you're here. All right, guys, what's a good resume about? Put it in the chat. S'il vous plaît, if you would. So Marie says, telling your story? Question mark. I like that, Marie, right? Slovenia says, that's awesome. I think you're awesome too, Slovenia. John says, presenting my skills. Lauren says, it's 1 page for sure, right? What else do we have here? I like to give stuff away to people who get the right answers. I'm just saying, right? What's a good resume about? Saif says, it's about myself. Jeffrey says, it passes the ATS. Okay. I haven't seen the right answer yet, right? What's a good resume about? So Aaron says it's got to be short and concise, ATS friendly. Greg says showing his skills and experience. Nope. Nobody's got the right answer yet. Ariane says succinct experience and accomplishments. Nope. Right. So look, guys, here's what a lot of you are saying, right? A lot of you are. So Metrics says Jennifer. Who I am says to Eve. What you can do for them, Marie. It's not horrible, right? Amy says what you have to offer. Nope. Here's what a lot of you are saying. A lot of you are saying a good resume is about you, even how you can help them. And that's incorrect. Because if you want to be influential with another human being, the first thing you're going to talk about is not you. You're going to talk about them. And that's what a good resume is about. Good resume is not about you. Good resume is about them. And them is whoever you're sending it to. The person, the organization. A good resume is about them. So if you get nothing else from this workshop today, my friends, get this. A good resume is not about you. It's about them. So many job seekers, as was evidenced here, think, well, it's about me. It's about my skills, my experience, even how I can help them. Nah, it's just about them. And if you can wrap your mind around this, it's going to change your job search forever. Because employers are focused on themselves. So if you walk in there focused on you to start, there's a thought polarity issue. You're going to want to make it about them. And when I say resume, I mean your cover letter, your follow-up, your networking, how you handle the offer, the interview, all of it. Make it about them and watch miracles unfold. So I've got like a little cut in my mouth and it's making, I keep mispronouncing words. I promise I'm not drunk. And Travis M, you're not drunk. You just booked a coaching call with us. Way to go, Travis M. We look forward to talking to you. Travis is going to show up and get some coaching. Nice job, Travis. Let's make sure we've got a free course. It's called How to Make Your LinkedIn Profile Awesome. Jessa and I think we've got Chris here today, and Paula and maybe Jelly. They're all helping us. So thanks, guys, for helping us. If we could, let's make sure we send Travis this free course about how to make his LinkedIn profile awesome, because he booked a call. Nice job. So it's no wonder that we think that the resume is about us, because very likely the first resume we did, it was coming out of school, and in school it is about us. It's our cubby, it's our desk, it's our worksheet, it's our diploma, it's our transcript. And yet when we move to the working world, it's not about us. It's about the customer, the client, the constituent. Those of you who are seasoned professionals know this. It's just, you haven't had that many at-bats job searching. In job searching, it's also about them. So you're gonna want to make your resume and everything else in your job search about them. We're gonna talk a lot more about this. All right, Travis, we sure look forward to talking to you, Travis. Okay, I got more, but wait, there's more. If I went to a library and there was a shelf full of storybooks, and I pulled one off the shelf and I looked at the front cover of that storybook, or any of the storybooks, thered be some words. What do we call those words? Put it in the chat if you would, please. I want to know what we would call those words on the front cover of a storybook. What do we call those? What do we call those words on the front cover of a book? I bet some of you know. What do we call those words? Right? Who am I going to get to give away something to? Got to be fat. Oh, okay. So I see Aaron Jones and John Vossler. You were the first two. Guys, we're going to also send you this free course about how to make your link. That's right. That's right. Applause for Aaron and John. And I see you, Amy and Adam and Saif and Leanne and Ray. It's the title. Now, isn't it interesting that that's the same term we use to label people in the workplace, which tells me that it's just like we'll put a label on a storybook. We'll put the label on somebody's career. Let me ask this. What percent of human decision-making is emotional and what percent is logical? What do you figure the ratio is? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 40-60? So when humans make decisions, what percentage is emotional and what percent is logical? Let's see if anybody gets this one right. This one's a little tricky, right? Okay, so Kiri says 80-20. Okay. Eric says 70-30. Robin says it's 90% emotional. Donald says 70%. Adam says 90. Nope. Thomas Fuller. And you know what? Let's give it to Vigneshwar. Let's give it to Vigneshwar too, right? You guys are right. It's 100% emotional. And the reason we know it's 100% emotional is when somebody gets their limbic system damaged, they're fine, except they can't make a single decision. And that's the debilitating part. Human decision-making is 100% emotional. Like when you got on this webinar today, you made emotional decisions, whether you like, sometimes people complain about my hair or the theme music. You know, sometimes I'll get comments, right? They're very emotional about their dislike of my theme song. And that's fine, but it's an emotional decision, right? You decided whether you like my shirt, whether you like my face. Jesse N booked a call. All right, Jesse, let's make sure we give Jesse that free LinkedIn course. Nice job, Jesse. And I see Patrice has some questions. So guys, feel free to put your questions in here. We'll get to them. We'll label. Thanks, Jessa and Jelly and Chris and Paula, right? It's 100% emotional. And then later we'll rationalize that emotional decision with logic, but very likely we'll stick with that originally emotional decision. So the reason stories are so important is stories is how we convey emotion. It's like what Maya Angelou said about people will remember how you make them feel. And stories are how we convey emotion. So if you're not using story in your resume, your cover letter, your follow-up, like all of it, you're really leaving a lot on the table because that's what people are going to remember. For example, one time I was taking applications for a program and there was about 50 applications. They all were pretty much the same. And then I read Maggie's application and she wrote how the summer before she'd been in a terrible car accident and her arm had been severed. Wow, man, that's quite a story. So we took Maggie into the program, right? And as the date neared, I'm thinking, okay, how can we accommodate one-armed Maggie? I'm thinking about Maggie walks in the first day, 2 arms. Now it was bandaged from where it had been partially severed and they reattached and Maggie was doing some physical therapy. Was I pissed off Maggie had 2 arms? Of course not. I was so happy Maggie had 2 arms. And I remember that story to this day because I remember how I felt at the time. And that was probably 30 years ago, right? So stories really, really, really matter. Okay, we're going to talk more about this. All right, I got another question for you. Who's this guy? What's this guy called? I'll give you a hint. He lives in Idaho, this character. What's this character called? He's a friend to the llama. He is a fan of tater tots. What's this guy called? Who knows? I bet somebody does. Oh, we got a couple here. So I see Aaron and Adam and Greg. All three of those, right? It's Aaron and Adam and Greg. This is Napoleon Dynamite. So we're gonna make sure those three get the course, guys. And I see you there, Jeffrey and Christina. You got the right answer. Don't worry. There'll be more. Pedro for president. That's right, Aaron. This is Napoleon Dynamite. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this fine piece of cinema, Napoleon's a high school kid. He sort of beats to his own drum. And in this particular scene, hey, Andrew, you booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, Andrew. Nice job. Make sure we take care of Andrew with the course, right? So like Napoleon's a high school kid. He's on stage in front of the entire student body. He's managed to get a cassette tape up to the sound booth. The music is starting to play. And now Napoleon is on the hook to do some kind of performance for which he has not prepared. So what does Napoleon do? He proceeds to do this wild dance number. I mean, it is improvised, and he metaphorically opens the kimono. It is crazy. Hey, Chastity, we look forward to talking to you. Nice job, Chastity. We'll make sure we take all these guys with the course. That dance was amazing. That's right, Aaron. It was amazing. And so when he first does the dance, he stops, and he's sort of sweaty and panting, and the entire student body's like this, and then they burst into applause. And the reason it works is because it's so authentic. Jamie Kern-Lima, the founder of IT Cosmetics, says everybody's a good dancer if they commit fully, and she's right. And this brings us to strategy number 3, which is authenticity. I heard some of you earlier worried about ATS. And for those of you who don't know what ATS is, it's the applicant tracking system. It's the algorithm. We have to trick the algorithm. Stop doing that. And if somebody's been trying to sell you an ATS Optima, an ATS friendly resume, don't do that. Humans hire humans. There's not some Skynet, Matrix, ATS. Yes, different companies. I see you there, Aaron, right? Humans hire humans. Hey, Larry D, you booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, Larry. Humans hire humans. So an increasingly automated artificial world, the opportunity for you to stand out and get hired fast is to be more human, not less. And guys, I'm not trying to rain on the AI parade. It's miraculous. There are ways to use AI in a job search that are smart. And trying to trick ATS is not one of them. The opportunity is for you to be more authentic, for you to be the best version of yourself you can be, the best Larry you can be, the best Aaron you can be, the best Chastity you can be, right? The best Ariane you can be. Be human. So for example, yeah, Leanne's not a fan of the AI. I see there. You get left out with the ATS. And we're going to talk more about that, Karen. And I mean, for those of you who've been chasing your tail, trying to please the ATS, how's that been going? Well, so I hear you there, Aaron. And that's an interesting story you've bought into about the ATS. How's that been going? I already know. Right? I already know. And I'm sorry that my invitation to you is to take all the time and energy you're spending trying to trick the ATS and connect with real humans. This will change your job search. And look, guys, I know this is likely different than what you've been hearing before. Thank you for noticing, right? This stuff I'm offering you is different than the other stuff. Hey, David, we look forward to talking to you, David. Free coaching call for you. Okay. Humans hire humans. For example, one time I was working with a woman, her name was Nina. And she was very high performer. We're going through Nina's resume. And at the end of her resume, I'm like, Nina, this is great, but you don't have any evidence on your resume that you're a human. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what do you like to do for fun? What's weird about you? She's like, well, I have a pen collection. I'm like, well, that's super effing weird. We got to put that on there. She's like, oh, no, I couldn't do it. So I argue with Nina for 30 minutes. I was like, okay, good luck. I hear from her a month later. She went into the interview. They talked about pens for 30 minutes, and then she got the offer. I cannot tell you how often this happens with my clients. We had a lady last year in Vegas. She decided, this was her idea. She decided to put at the bottom of her resume, 2 truths and a lie. She got 2 interviews and 2 offers just from that. You can do the same. People are going to hire you because of who you are, not in spite of it. They're going to hire you because you're like Tracy B, who just booked a call. They're going to hire you because you're Tracy, not in spite of being Tracy. Okay? So authenticity is your superpower, my friends. All right, let's talk about Abe Lincoln. Give me 6 hours to cut down a tree. I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. This brings us to the idea of systems. The results you're currently getting in your job search are perfectly attuned to your current systems. Now, some of you are like, well, I don't have a system. Yes, you do. For some of you, your system is, I'm going to hide my age, right? I'm going to take off all of the last 15 years of my experience because some 20-something recruiter told me that was the thing to do. Or I'm going to hide my age because, it's never the scandal. It's always the cover up. How's that system working? Some of you have this system of, oh, the economy is terrible. How's that system? Some of you have this system of, oh, ATS. Some of you have the system of, I'm going to put an executive summary at the top of my resume because that'll show them, right? I'll tell them a bunch of stuff. Some of you even have the system called, I'm going to put the title of the job I'm applying to on their resume, and they'll see the title and that will make them think they can trust me. Guys, there are better systems for you. For a lot of you, this is the system you've been using, right? I send you so much love, right? I mean, you've used you got the sticky gear shift and the honk button, right? And you're wondering why you can't steer your job search to success. Yeah, Karen, don't take off those 10 years. Put all 20 years on there. Don't give them a 10-year discount, right? Yeah, I hear you there. And this is your current system. And you're wondering why you can't steer your job search to success. Here's what you're going to want to know. This is the system that's available. There's all sorts of buttons and dials and stuff that you probably aren't even aware of. Now, you could spend a lot of time and money trying to figure out how to get from this system to this system, or you could adopt a system. That's right, John, 40 years, man. Show them those 40 years. Take up space. I got about that many years experience. Don't hide yourself, John. Don't be small, right? This is the system you're going to want. This is how you get hired fast. So look, folks, how do you put all of this to work? Okay, I'm going to get to that right now, but I see you there about ageism, Leanne. We're going to talk about that. Right. And if we don't, thanks for starting that, guys. Good job, Paula and Chris and Jessa and Jelly. I see you there, Miriam. That's right. All right. So I just want to show you that this system works. Okay. We're going to show him Angel, guys. So Angel was somebody that came to this workshop a little over a year ago, and she booked one of these free coaching calls that I'm talking about. She went through the coaching call. She was worried about how much the program cost. She dove in, and this was her result. Let's show them. In the time we've got left, I'm curious, especially if there's somebody we haven't heard from yet. They've had a win, a loss. Angel, I got to ask you, what do we know, if anything? What do we know?
I got the job. Yay!
Whoa!
The offer. I'm moving in a week. Yeah, it's crazy. And I know when we first met, you're like, oh, let's get something by your birthday. And my birthday is in 4 days, so I was able to do it. Yay!
And I just want to acknowledge you. You dove in, you did it, you did the work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It would not have been possible without signing up for this program. Truly, I think it made the difference for me.
So good, Angel.
Yeah.
Really happy for you.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Angel, and yay, Kyle T, who just booked a call, man. We look forward to talking to you. Yeah, we look forward to talking to you, Kyle. Nice job watching us on Facebook. That's cool. All right, guys. So how do you put this all to work? Again, so I've got a program, right? Where I'm going to talk a little bit about later, but it's amazing. It, this is how you get hired fast. It has a lot of one-on-one coaching. We have group events every day. I lead most of them. There's a community, there's a course, we send you job leads. If you're somebody that's unclear about what you want to do next, we help with that. We help you, with your mindset, with your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn, your follow-up, your networking, your interviews. A lot of times we've got a couple clients right now that have multiple offers. They're more than paying for this program and just what we're helping them in terms of negotiating offers. And that's really common. So it's a cool program. If you're interested in finding out more, or you just want a free coaching call, right? And to explore what may or may not be going on with your job search. Jessa just dropped the link in the chat. Book a call with us, as many of you already have. That's great. Yeah. Thanks, Jessa. We appreciate that. All right. That's what it looks like to book a call. So let's talk. 9 tactics. Here we go, guys. 9 tactics that you can put to work right now. And guys, this is the part of the workshop where I like to talk real fast, because a lot of times people have me on the replay and they put me at 3 times speed, and this makes it 6 times speed, and it really freaks them out. Thank you. Let's say there's a lake, and in the middle of the lake, there's somebody drowning, right? Now they're surrounded by other people in little boats, and in the middle, hey, Amy P, you booked a call. Nice job. Amy P is not going to be drowning, right? There's somebody in the middle of the lake drowning, and they're surrounded by other people in little boats. If that was a job search, who's the person drowning? Put it in the chat if you would, please, right? Metaphorically. Who's the person drowning in this lake if that was a job search? Who's that person? What do you think, guys? If this was a job search, people in little boats, somebody's in the middle of lake drowning. Who's that person? Let's see if anybody gets it right. Right? Who's the person drowning? Okay, so a lot of people saying me. Yeah, I see Akiri and Aaron and Jamar. Like a lot of people saying it's me. I'm the one drowning. Oh, Roxy Thinenbong. Good job, Roxy. Roxy got it right. It's not you, it's them. They're the ones drowning. They're the ones drowning. And look, for a lot of you, it can feel like you're the ones drowning. I get it, right? You got bills, family, right? I get that it feels like you're drowning. You're not the one drowning. You're the one in the boat, right? You're the one in the boat. Hey, Jane, nice to see you. You booked a call. Look forward to talking to you, Jane. You're the one in the boat. Let's make sure we take care of Jane with the course, guys. You're the one in the boat. And yet a lot of us on a job search are acting like we're the one drowning, right? If the employer's in the water drowning, splashing around, and we're in the boat, we'll row up and we'll be like, hey, pick me. I'm the one drowning. Pick me really quick. And the person drowning in the water's like, well, I need help, but not from that guy, right? Needy is creepy. If you're the one in the boat, the energy you want to have is you want to row up to that person and you want to say, hey, you're drowning. That must be so scary. Let's have a conversation to see how we can get your ass end out of the water. It's not important if I'm the one that pulls you out. What's important is you don't drown and die. And this brings us to mindset, which is tactic number 1, right? Again, this is one of those things, guys. If you get nothing else out of this workshop, if you can get your mind around this idea of mindset, it will serve you. Mindset. You want to stay away from phrases like, I'd be good for you. Here's why I'd be good for you. Don't do that. People don't want to be sold. Selling people is creepy. We've gone over this historically. People buying people's even worse. Don't do that. People want to be served, not sold. So you're going to want to start to approach your job search, if you're not already, from a place of service. And see, when you're coming from a place of service, you don't have to be self-conscious about your age, your experience. You don't have to be self-conscious about any of it because it's not about you, it's about them. Okay, more to come on this. Some of you have seen the show. Scott, you booked a call. Great, Scott. We look forward to talking to you, Scott. Nice job. Some of you have seen the show Deadliest Catch, right? Where they put these big steel cages on the bottom of the ocean floor trying to catch some crab, right? And sure enough, a crab comes along. His name's Charlie. He goes, oh, free lunch. So Charlie goes in. He starts nibbling, right? More and more crabs join. There's Cheryl and Sally and Barbara, right? And Bart, the crab. They're all joining more. And Charlie's in there. Finally, he's like, there's no more bait. I'm out of here, boys. Now, you would think that that's how Charlie's voice sounds because he's a crab now. That's just how his voice sounds. It's kind of weird. I know. I don't know how to explain it. Charlie's in there and he's trying to get out. So he tries to leave. Now, here's the interesting part. When Charlie tries to leave, the other crabs will pull Charlie back in because crabs like to be with other crabs. That's how crabs roll. They'll even pull off one of Charlie's crab arms. They'll even do a crab murder on Charlie. And the sad part is, it's the most dangerous thing ever because they all get pulled up and become dinner. This brings us to the idea of environment. Lauren, you booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, Lauren, right? Environment. Some of you are like, oh, well, I'm having trouble in my job search. And for a lot of you, it's your system. And one of those systems is your environment, your psychological environment, emotional, spiritual, physical, social, right? Some of you know the idea of reference groups. You're the average weight, income, education, the 5 people you hang out with most. So if you're hanging out around a bunch of anchors, you're going to get pulled down. And look, some of those anchors could be coming from a good place. They could be loving family members that are like, oh, just settle. Just take a job that pays half of what you were making before because we can't stand to see you get rejected again and get hurt, right? It comes from a place of love and it's not always helpful. So you're going to want to optimize your environment. A lot of times when people join our program, this alone makes the difference between them not getting a job for 6 months and then getting a job in 4 weeks. This right here, right? You're going to want to be intentional about your environment. It really matters. All right, guys, on to the next tactic. It's hard to hit a blurry target, which brings us the idea of vision. Some of you know the proverb, where there is no vision, the people perish. I would say where there is no vision, job seekers perish. There's this great quote by Bruce Lee. He's like, says, be careful what you tell yourself because your body's listening, right? Sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll be like, how much money do you want to make? And I'm like, well, anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000. I'm like, that's beautiful. I'm like, what do you want to do? They're like, well, I want to help people. And they sort of sound like Gomer Pyle. And it's weird. I know. It's strange. I'm like, well, Gomer, that's good. And it's really vague. And the problem with Gomer having such a vague schema is that if we don't tell our brain what to look for, it literally will be blind to it. For instance, if I say the color red right now, you're instantly more aware of the color red just because you heard it, right? It's sort of like when you go and buy a new car and you drive off the lot and you're like, nobody's got this car. I've never seen this car anywhere. And then you see the car 5 times. It's because now you're looking for it. Morris A booked a call. Look forward. Coaching call for Morris A. Good job, Morris. You're going to show up for that call. We're going to get your job stuff sorted. Okay, so you're going to want to have vision. When race car drivers drive 600 miles in a circle, there's a reason they don't look at the outer wall, because when they do, that's where the car tends to go. And if you don't have vision, you're going to be just like those race car drivers in your job search driving 500 miles in a circle. But not Patrice, because Patrice just booked a call. Nice job, Patrice. Look forward to talking to you. Good job. I love this crowd, right? See, this is a crowd that's not messing around. Showing up on January 13th. It's inspiring. All right. I got another question for you guys. If I went to the store and I bought this, what would I be buying? Put it in the chat if you would, please. What would I be buying? If I went to the hardware store and I bought this, what would I actually be buying? Put it in the chat if you would, please. I would be curious to know if anybody gets this right. All right. Oh, Kiri Jackson. Kiri Jackson, you nailed it. Well, that's right, Kiri. Some of you are saying you're buying a tool, right? Elio says it's a drill. That's all true. And I like what Kiri said, because I don't need a drill. What I actually need is a hole. So, Kiri, we're going to take care of you with the free LinkedIn course. Nice job, guys. So what I actually need is a hole. And actually, you know what? I don't even need a hole. What I actually need is a place to put the hook. And actually, Ariane, I don't want it. Tina, I don't want a bunch of hooks coming out of my wall. That sounds dangerous, right? I'll gash my arm open, Janice. What I actually am looking for is a place to hang the picture. And actually, I don't even want a place to hang the picture. What I actually want is the feeling I get when I look at the picture of my beautiful family that's hanging on the hook, that's in the hole that's made by the drill. And this brings us to the idea of giving them safety. What a lot of job seekers are doing, it could also be a screwdriver, Tina. You're exactly right. Good job, Tina. Right? What a lot of job seekers are doing, they're just focused on themselves. Let me just talk about myself for 30 minutes. Right? That's a hot dumpster fire. Don't do that. Others are maybe talking about them. And sometimes I hear from people, like I'm starting to hear from people who attended the workshop in like June or July, this workshop here. And they're like, Eric, I still haven't found a job. I'm like, well, are you making it about them? They're like, yeah. I'm like, show me. And they're not. They're talking about the drill or the hook, instead of the thing that keeps that employer up at night when they're laying in bed, it's trying to go to sleep, looking at the ceiling. If you can get to that, my friends, you don't have to worry about all the people LinkedIn says applied ahead of you that are kind of fake numbers anyway, right? You don't have to worry about that. Rachel L., you don't have to worry about anything. You just booked a call. We're going to give you a free coaching call, get stuff handled for you, Rachel. Okay? Do you see how this is so much more sophisticated than worrying about your age and ATS and all that nonsense? If you can make them feel seen, heard, and understood, you're going to make them feel safe. And if you make them feel safe, they're going to trust you. And you know what the one reason they're going to hire you is? It's not your skills. It's not your experience. It's not even if they like you. It's if they trust you. So if you can make them feel like they trust you, game over. You don't have to worry about the economy, your age, competitors, your experience, your education. You don't have to worry about any of that if they trust you. How can you make them feel seen, heard, and understood, my friends? All right, on to the next tactic. Tactic number 5, I believe it is, and this is resumes, paper. Look, folks, resumes are kind of stupid, and they're sort of like the least bad way we've come up to do this stuff since like Roman times, right? And everybody's got an opinion about resumes, right? It's more art than science. There is no one right way to do it. As we've already discussed, the paper that you send, you're going to want to make it about them, right? And how you send it, where you send it, when you send it, it all matters, right? So you're going to want to send paper that isn't professional camouflage, right? The last thing you're going to want to do is use best practices for my resume. I am proficient in Microsoft Office. I have my executive summary at the top. Don't do any of that, right? Look at my resume. This is mine. It's not yours. Yours is going to look different, but this is the most Eric resume. And look, I've got hyperlinks. I've got logos, right? Make it your own. Make it authentic. Have them see possibility for themselves when they look in your resume. You're going to want to communicate with employers in a way they can't ignore. Okay, Yeti, we see that question. We'll come back to it. All right, guys. I got another one for you. If a job application, hey, John, we look forward to talking to you. Nice job, John. If a job application is submitted and there is no follow-up, does it even make a sound? I would humbly suggest that it doesn't. You're going to want to follow up. Right now, some people, what happens is they apply and they're like, well, I hope I hear back on that one next. And for some reason, they get that accent when they do. I don't know why. Science doesn't know, right? But they apply and they don't follow up. They just don't. Or maybe they'll follow up after the interview. And if they do follow up, it sounds something like this. Hey, just wanted to check in. Just wanted to check in. No, don't do that. Right? You're going to want to follow up. Hey, Miriam, we look forward to talking to you. Nice job, Miriam. You're going to want to follow up from a place of service. And by the way, you're not going to want to follow up with recruiters because they're kind of professionally trained ninjas at keeping you away from the hiring manager. Because God forbid, if you talk to the hiring manager, the recruiter doesn't need to exist. So we don't want that. So you're going to want to follow up with the hiring manager. So I can hear it collectively now. Some of you are like, but Eric, I don't know their contact info. How do I reach out to the hiring manager if I don't know who it is? Let me help you. I have a course. It's called How to Contact Anybody. Because you're here live on this workshop, right? We're going to give it to you now. Here's how you get the course. One, you're going to go to my LinkedIn. We're going to put the link to my LinkedIn right there. Okay. For those of you who are here live, you're going to go to my LinkedIn. You're going to follow me or connect me or one of those things. And then you're going to message me the word chicken. That's right. Okay. So you're going to go to my LinkedIn. You're going to connect with me. And then you're going to send me an email on LinkedIn. That's the single word chicken. That's right. Chicken. Okay. And when you say chicken, we will send you the link and you can get this free course and it'll be awesome. And if for some reason you send it and you don't get the email, check your spam. Sometimes it goes into spam. But yeah, how to contact anybody. So now you won't have that excuse anymore. You can contact anybody, follow up with anybody. And that's what you're going to want to do, right? Follow up. If somebody was laying face down in the water and you were in the boat and you said, hey, buddy, are you okay? Right. So, John, you don't want to put it here. You want to go to my LinkedIn and put it there, John. But I always appreciate seeing the word chicken, John. Right. Or you may be helping somebody else. Sometimes people do that. That's fine. So like, hey, Austin, you booked a call. Nice job, Austin. We look forward to talking to you. Good job. Austin's not a chicken. Okay. So if somebody were laying face down in the water and you said, hey, buddy, are you okay? And they were motionless, you wouldn't be like, I don't want to bother them. No, you'd be willing to offend in the name of service, right? You'd swim out there, you'd flip them over. You might even start giving them mouth to mouth. And if they came to you and they were like, lady, I was just snorkeling, you'd be like, my bad. And again, you'd be willing to offend in the name of service. That's how we want to proceed in our job search. This is about serving, not pleasing, which also brings us to the idea of networking. Some of you have seen the Academy Awards or a big award show, right? The actor gets up there and she wins some big prize, right? Everybody's applauding. And then she says, I got nobody to thank. And sort of awkward. No, that doesn't happen. Right? She gets up there. She's like, I got to thank this person and this person, this person. They're trying to get her off stage. This person. When we do great things, we ask for help. Guys, asking for help makes you look strong, not weak. Those of you who are wringing your hands about, ooh, do I put the open to work banner on my LinkedIn? Of course you do. Why wouldn't you? There's nothing wrong with asking for help is a gift. Because when we ask somebody for help, they can be sure that their help is worth something because we wouldn't have asked for it unless we thought it was worth something. When people do great things, we do it together. And by the way, you don't want to network like a single fishing line, right? Well, I'll do it one at a time. Don't do that because you got to get the right bait on the right fish, the right time. I mean, good luck with that. What we want to do instead is filter the ocean so we don't have to worry about where the jobs are because we're everywhere. Now, for some of you, if I said, well, how many people in your network know you're on the job search? You'd be like, a good number. And I'd be like, well, how many? Maybe 30%. Well, I'm like, well, how many people do you know? Oh, maybe 100. No. If you're over 20, you know at least a couple thousand, right? So let's say it's 1,000. So 300 people. That's fantastic. How would they know? Well, I posted it on LinkedIn 3 months ago. So I would be like, okay, so those people would have had to gone to LinkedIn that day, seen your post, and remembered these past 3 months. Now you get a little worried, right? You're going to want to have a system for this. A lot of times this is how people get hired fast in our program. Hey, Thea, right? Just this alone moves the needle. There's nothing that moves the needle more than this. All right, guys, let's talk about interviews. Here is the best interview advice in the world. Are you ready? Please prepare yourself. I'm about to deliver the advice. Here it is. Best interview advice in the world. That's amazing, Jess. Don't answer their questions. Don't do it. Don't answer their questions. Don't do it. Because they're really only asking one question. And that question is this: can I trust you? That's really all they're asking. Like when they say, tell me about a time, or, what's your most professional achievement, or tell me about a time you made a mistake, or tell me about yourself. All they're really asking is, can I trust you? And if we lived in that world that was the movie, right, where everybody tells the truth, they could just sit down and be like, can I trust you? No, you can't trust you. Okay, well, great. Nice to meet you. Right? That would be it. But we can't do that. And even if we would say, you can trust me, they wouldn't believe us. Because remember, people believe what we show them more than what we tell them. So the way we get people to trust us, as Brene Brown has taught us, is through vulnerability. And it's also through making them feel seen, heard, and understood. So when they say, tell me about yourself in an interview, the last thing you're going to want to do is tell them about yourself. Some of you who've gone through a bunch of interviews and you've gotten to the last round and then you get the no, that sucks, and book a call. We can help you with that. We can help you with that. Because interviewers are only really asking one question: can I trust you? All right, guys. Final tactic here: offers. 2 things. Hey, Thomas S., you booked a call, right? You booked a call. Good job. So here's the thing about offers. 2 things. 1, you don't have to worry if you want a job. Yeah, Elios, we'll be sending it around on LinkedIn, right? The recording. Yeah, we'll send it, right? Or you could just book a call and you don't have to worry about the recording, Elios. Just saying, right? So you don't have to worry if you want a job or you're qualified for a job unless and until you get the offer. Perfectly natural that you would think about it, and it's optional, right? So rather than sort of prejudge whether you want a job, wait until you get the offer. And if you're with an employer and they say, hey, if we offered you this, would you take it? Your words are, I'd have to see the offer. If they say, hey, we're going to offer you 50 cents a year to work in the North Pole, what would you say? You'd say, that's possible. I'd have to see the offer. See, we want to live in a world of possibility. Doesn't mean we're saying yes. Doesn't mean we're saying no. Matter of fact, we're never going to say yes or no. We're going to be curious when it comes to offers. And a lot of times when people take this approach, they get 20, 30. We just had a client. She got an offer and she got like 50 grand more than she was like it was incredible. Incredible. Yeah. It just blows me away. So I can't punch this in because we are not friends. Well, then Karen, friend me. Just saying. All right. Write this down. 4 strategies and 9 tactics, right? And Karen, if for some reason you can't get it, you email us and we'll get you hooked up. You don't want to keep you away from the chickens, Karen. Appreciate your asking. 4 strategies and 9. Hey, Charlie, you booked a call. Nice job, Charlie. 4 strategies and 9 tactics. This is how you get hired fast, right here. This is it, folks. You do this, you get hired fast, right? As you may be thinking, a lot of what I just offered you is not on Google. This is not Google. In fact, this contradicts a lot of the conventional job searching wisdom that's out there that you've been using that hasn't been working. So here's the opportunity, right? Like, come talk to us. And a lot of you are thinking, well, this is great. I'm going to try it on my own. I'm just going to, or I want to think about it. Or guys, here's what you may not realize. Thinking about it, people who think about it tend to miss out on opportunities all the time. And it's expensive. Okay. If this is how much you're wanting to make a year, that's your opportunity cost per month. This is what it's costing you per week. Guys, if we can get you hired a couple weeks faster, you more than pay for this program that I'm offering, which is called Get Hired Fast. Comes with a lot of great stuff. It's really good. We're getting a lot of people jobs right now. One-on-one coaching, group coaching every day. There's a course. There's a community. We send you job leads. And the guarantee we offer is that if we offer you to join this program, and we don't everybody, right? If we don't think we can help you, we're not going to, on the call, we're going to be like, hey, this isn't for you. And if we think we can, the guarantee is we stay with you until you get the job. And for most people, that's within 3 months or less, right? Let me get to the slide here. Well, I'll get to it, right? I'll show you some data, right? So here's just some of the things we work on, whether it's trying to figure out what you want to do, you're unclear, whether it's just your mindset, you just feel beaten up, you're discouraged, you're lacking confidence, whether it's, finding opportunities, whether it's applying with resumes and cover letters, whether it's your follow-up, whether it's your networking, whether it's your interview, whether it's handling the offer, we do all the things. Here's a bunch of people who've gone through the program, right? Jessie was a nonprofit exec. She got like a couple offers in the program, right? Rob was somebody coming from overseas and didn't want to search for 6 months when he got here. He didn't. He had a job on arrival, right? Amy was somebody who kept going through interviews and getting to the end and got a big fat no. We got her sorted. John was a CEO. We found a job, right? Philip was an early professional, a tech guy. So you already heard from Angel. Here's the data. And again, you guys don't make data-driven decisions. And for those who insist, I will oblige you, right? This is what our statistics look like. Most people get hired in the first 3 months. For some, it's 4. For some, it's a little longer. And regardless of what it is, we stay with you till you get the job. And everybody's different, right? Depends on the seniority of the job you're applying for. Sometimes people have something that come up in their personal life and they have to take a break. But this is the gist of how it works. We get people hired. How confident can one be using AI to write? Yeah, zero confidence in that, Elios. I would not have AI write my cover letter. Nope. And so we can come back to that. What you don't want to do, right, is be on the hamster wheel. Keep doing the same thing over and over to get the same result. That's the definition of insanity. So guys, for those of you who are like, well, I can't afford this program. I don't know. Come talk to us. Maybe you can. We got a lot of payment plans available, right? So we'll come back to Elios, right? So like a lot of payment plans available. I think if you can get financing, it's like $300 a month. Karen, I won't be sending you the cost. The only way you can find out about the cost is to book a call, right? So like, it winds up to be about $300 a month, less than 300 if you got and what a lot of people do is they get the help now and they pay the rest when they get the job. And the guarantee we offer is if you stay with this program, we'll place 100% of people that join this program. As long as they stay with the program, we're not going to give up on people. That's just not what we do. So lots of receipts about how this works. The question is not, does this program work? The question is, do you want to invest in yourself to help an employer invest in you? Do you want to be the change you seek? Or do you want to keep doing what you've been doing on your own? And how much is that going to cost you? I want to take a stand for you guys. I have coaches, 100% of clients, Karen. If people join this program, they stay with the program, we will place them 100%. So if you'd like to find out more, book a call, right? The only requirements, like Kristen just booked a call. Nice job, Kristen. You're going to show up for the call. You're not going to book the call and then be like, it won't work for me. And you're going to cancel the call. Don't do that. I know some of you don't like that when recruiters do that, when they cancel interviews. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, right? You're going to be open to the idea of investing in yourself. You want an employer to pay you money, invest in yourself, right? You're going to far exceed the cost of job searching with the amount you're going to pay for this program, and you're ready to get started, right? If you want to get hired 6 months from now, go talk to us 6 months from now because we don't mess around. We get people hired fast. And if nothing else, you get a great coaching call. We can unpack what's going on with your job search. So that's how you book a call. Many of you already have, and that's the link. Hope to talk to you sometime soon. All right, guys, let's take some questions. I'm going to show you my full gigantic head, right, in all its planetary glory. All right, guys, I know we had some questions. Bring it on. You're so welcome, Adam. All right, let's see here. So Chris in Miami, how, do you get companies to hire your contracting firm employers? So yeah, Chris, it's a lot of the same concepts. Right. You're going to, whether, it sounds like you may be a contractor and I think, or maybe you're wanting them to hire you as a contractor, regardless, it doesn't matter. You're going to want to make them feel seen, heard, and understood. The idea of making them feel seen, heard, and understood is that's what good salespeople do. And again, we're not selling ourselves. What we're selling is possibility for the employer. So this isn't about selling ourselves, but it's about service. That's for sure. Okay. Next question. Where does a summary come in the resume? So Patrice, I love that question. Is it necessary? So I don't want to get into the business of summarizing myself because really the reason recruiters ask for that is because they're lazy recruiters. Because see, if I have 50 resumes and I have to read them all, that's a drag. But if each one has a summary, Patrice, that makes my job easier. So I'm going to decline. Hey, Daniel, we look forward to talking to you, right? I'm going to decline the recruiter's request that I'm going to summarize. Patrice, you are too awesome to be summarized. We're not going to summarize Patrice. We're going to have Patrice take up space in the universe. And again, let's suppose I'm wrong. Let's say you do put a summary. One of two things will happen. They're either going to read the summary and skip the rest, or they're going to skip the summary, which is more likely. Because when you guys look at resumes, what's the first thing you look at? Experience. That's what they're going to look at. And by the way, the summary has no context. And it's you telling them a bunch of stuff instead of showing them a bunch of stuff about you. There's only about 1,000 reasons not to put a summary at the top of your resume. Do you think I feel strongly about it? I do, because it doesn't work. It's just, it's just a waste of space. All right, what else do we have here in terms of questions? I see many. Robin asks, can I use hybrid functional type resume? Oh, I see. So like to put the functions, don't do that, right? Because people organize information. Like if we were in a library, we could have the Dewey Decimal System and we could have categories. There's sort of two ways to organize information. You can do it categorically or chronologically. When people tell stories, we do it like we don't show the movie of Star Wars and show, okay, spaceships and then aliens, right? And then stormtroopers. We don't do that. It's a chronology. And that's how you're going to want to make your resume, because that's how stories are, because stories are what people are going to remember, not like card catalogs. Hope that makes sense. Forget the functionality. Make it chronological, 100%. All right. What other questions? Leanne, ageism is an issue. Well, there's a lot of isms that are issues, Leanne. Racism, sexism, ableism. There's a lot of isms out there. You're right. The world is not fair. And at the end of the day, the reason they're going to hire you is because they trust you, right? If I meet somebody who's a different age than I am, let's say I am ageist, it's the root of all isms is fear, is mistrust. So you can cut through every ism in the world if you can just build trust. And by the way, it's never the scandal, it's always the cover up. For those of you who magically have your graduation dates disappear, you are now 97 years old. Now, if we have any 97-year-olds on this call, I want to acknowledge you, right? But remember, it's never the scandal. And by the way, how does that build for trust? I want you to trust me, to pay me a lot of money to make your organization's dreams come true. You can trust me. Yet I don't trust you not to be ageist. I'm going to hide my age. I mean, there's nothing that destroys trust faster than all of a sudden mysteriously hiding age. It's the worst thing you can do. Or removing like experience. Don't do that. It destroys trust, and trust is the reason you're going to get hired. Hope that serves you, Leanne. And if you haven't booked a call, Leanne, please do. I'd like to talk to you. Okay. Well, Lindsay booked a call. Sorry, I think there's some people who booked calls that I've been missing, right? Because I've been so, and we got Colm booked a call. Good job. And Kiri booked a call. Nice job, Kiri. All right, good job. And Daniel. Okay. Yeah, sorry. You guys are asking such good questions. Ariane, hopefully I'm not mispronouncing your name. How do you bet 30 years in 2 pages? You don't. Why? Who said that it has to be 2 pages, right? Ariane, if I was to give you a book about Ariane, I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, Ariane, right? If I was to give you a book and it was a page turner, it was a 100-page book and it was all about you, you wouldn't put it down. You'd read it cover to cover because it was all about you. If I gave you a 1-page worksheet that was about something you didn't care about, you'd read half the page and you'd throw it away. Nobody has ever gotten hired or not hired based on the number of pages of the resume. They've gotten hired or not hired based on what those pages say. Yeah, sometimes people will give long honking resumes. It's not the pages, it's what the pages say, right? If an employer looked at all those things, all those pages, and saw possibility for themselves, they would tear through it and pick up the phone and say, come in for an interview. So if you've got 30 years, show possibility in those 30 years. You're a pro. Your resume doesn't have to be, now look, 50 pages, that'd be a lot, but 2 or 3 or even 4 pages, that's fine for somebody with that many years of experience. Hope that serves. Okay. Do you have to let's see here. What do we got? We got so many questions. How would experience from 10 years be relevant? Great question. Okay. Well, let's ask. So Tina, I don't know how long you've been in the workplace, but let's say everybody, very likely many of the professional skills and values and habits that you have right now after a 30 or 40-year career were the skills that you developed in that very first job, maybe even with that very first mentor. So the skills that you have now are a direct result of those early experiences. So why wouldn't you put it on there? Right now, maybe you don't have 30 bullets for those first jobs, right? But you can have 1 or 2. And again, it's part of your story. It gives context. And let's say, right, that you worked at the XYZ company, right? And you just don't realize it, but the XYZ company, or the company you're applying to, this person's daughter worked there too. See, you want to put forth as many nodes of potential connection as possible. And when we cover stuff up for no good reason other than we're worried about inconveniencing our recruiter having to look at an extra page, or maybe they'll be ageist. We don't want to do that. Nika, you booked a call. Nice job. Hope that makes sense, Tina. And if you haven't booked a call, book a call. Book a call. If you're getting healthier again, come talk to us. All right. What other questions do we have here? Yenny, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Why are cover letters necessary? Where they're not necessary. They just work, right? So if I have two candidates and one does a cover letter and one doesn't, and I'm looking for a tiebreaker, well, at least this one showed me they're willing to do a little bit of extra work. And by the way, here's one of my favorite things about cover letters. A lot of cover letters, if you read them, you can read one of yours, says I, me. There's lots of I's and me's. And there might be one you, maybe, if they say thank you at the end. The opportunity for you, my friends, is to flip it. Put lots of yous in there. Talk about them, right? Again, it's sort of like what I was saying about the resume. If you have a cover letter that helps them see possibility for themselves, why wouldn't you send a cover letter? And if you have lazy competitors that are like, there's sort of this trope, right? Oh, nobody reads cover letters. Fabulous. Let everybody else believe that. You can send a cover letter and all your competitors will buy into that misinterpretation of reality. I would humbly suggest. All right, let's see what else we got here. Roxy, do I have to change my resume? You don't have to. It just depends on whether you want to get hired, Roxy, right? Because if a good resume is about them and you send the same resume to more than one employer, at least one of them is going to be misaddressed. I hear you, though. You're like, oh, it's such a drag to change my resume. Not if you have a system, right? One of the things we do in our program is to come up with a system where you figure out what an employer wants and you customize your resume in like 10, 15 minutes. Doesn't have to take long. It only takes long if you don't have a system for doing it, right? And the system, your current system, is the only thing that's standing between you and a bunch of job offers and a salary that you want. Hope that serves you, Roxy. Book a call if you haven't already. All right, what else do we have here? Elios, how confident can one be? So not very confident. Not very confident using AI. Now, look, if you want to use AI to brainstorm and maybe come up with a rough draft, maybe, but people can tell AI. It's sort of, especially pros, it's a little bit soulless. And there's tells, right? You miss an M dash, right? Or, you say something like that hits hard. Yeah, that's what AI always says. So you're going to want to make your cover letter more human, not less, right? Sorry, I almost ran out of power there, right? Speaking of AI, it's trying to get me, right? You're going to want to make your cover letter more human, not less. See, Elios, we want your cover letter to be the most Elios cover letter imaginable. And as soon as you rely on AI to do it, we take away the Eliosness of it. And we don't want to do that because the Eliosness of it is why they're going to hire you in the first place. I would humbly suggest. All right, guys, such good questions. We'll take a few more. So Patrice, did I hear you correctly? There's no time limit. You stick with it? Yeah, of course. I mean, look, Patrice, as long as you're doing the work, right? I mean, sometimes we'll have clients come in and they pay us for hey, Amanda, we look forward to talking to you. Good job, Amanda. Sometimes we'll have clients come in and they like never watch the course. They don't show up for the meetings. They don't show up and then I'm like, well, okay, yeah, like we can't want it more than you do. And for people that show up and do the stuff, like they get hired fast. And for most people, that's usually 30, 45 minutes a day, especially for people who already have jobs or you have kids or you got other stuff in your life. Yeah, this is not like, because part of what we want to do here is we want a job search. And part of your job search is also self-care, right? If you come in to an interview and you're just beat to hell because you're worried about everything, right? The employer's not going to get a lot of safety from that, right? You want to come in there rested, have faith in the universe or whatever your spiritual reference might be, big F or little f, right? That the universe has your back. See, when you can nurture that belief, and part of the reason we do that is by taking care of ourselves, then you can walk into the interview and you can be confident and they'll trust you and they'll want to hire you and they won't even know why. You ever see a situation where somebody got hired for a job and they had no experience? Of course, it doesn't matter. Experience. Some of you are booking calls, by the way, and some of you aren't. And the only reason is because if you're not, it's because you don't trust yourself or you don't trust me. And that's fine. If you go into an interview and they don't hire you, it's just because they don't trust you or they have to trust somebody more. It's not personal. We just want to build trust is what we're after, Patrice. I hope that serves you. Rick J booked a call. We look forward to talking to you. Yeah, that's right, Miriam. 100% self-care. Guys, do we have any other questions? And I see you, Greg. It looks like Greg had a question here. We want to make sure we cover Greg. Do not interviews have different takes on a resume? They do, which is why you want to make the resume about them. Because if we make it about them, then and they see possibility for themselves, that's going to work. See, that's part of the reason why we don't want to put a title, right? If we put project manager at the top of a resume, well, the recruiter could look at that and be like, oh, project manager, we're not looking for that. We're looking for project and program manager, and he's not that. So next. See, we want to leave space for them to reach conclusions. See, that's the problem when we say, I'd be good for you. See, as soon as I say that to an employer, now we've robbed them of the opportunity for that to be their idea. So you never want to say that, right? You want to leave the space for people to reach their own conclusions because it's so much more powerful. Hope that helps. All right. What else do we have here, guys? What other questions? I know there's a bunch. I'm going to stick around. Is it not true that an applicant will be hired if another interview did the interview? We don't know. We don't know. And look, guys, this is not a pure science, right? People who walk around and be like, well, job searching is scientific. Nah, it's not scientific at all. It's the most human thing ever. That's why the idea of, well, you have to put, quantitative numbers. Now, people don't make decisions like that, right? I mean, there's statistics. I mean, we know this, right? Like there's wage gaps, right? People who there's isms. People who interview, like at the beginning of the day tend to do way better than people that interview at the end of the day. People who are at the beginning of the pack of interviews are at the end tend to do better because of recency bias and the primacy effect. Esther, you booked a call. We look forward to talking to you. So there's all these hacks that we know about. There is nothing fair about this. So if you've been working to try and be fair with your stuff, don't do that. Don't do that. And it's not that you want to be like malicious, but don't play fair. There's nothing logical or linear about this. And people who are like, well, we made an objective decision on that hiring. No, they didn't. They made a human decision. So that's why you're going to want to use this stuff. All right, guys, let's take a couple more questions. I so appreciate this crowd. All right, there's Greg. Here comes my question. I'm a sales executive. I've had 5 or 6 final. Yeah, I hear you about that, Greg. And they've gone to the final interviews, and then you've gotten the big fat no. So Greg, what this comes from is they don't trust you, my friend. It's okay. It's not your fault. Right? I suspect, and I don't know, Greg, if you come and talk to us, we'll be able to tell you that when they ask you to tell you about yourself, you're talking about yourself. Stop doing that. Right? Because they're not really asking about you and your years of experience. What they're really asking is, can we trust Greg? So the opportunity for you, my friend, and it's great that you're getting all these interviews, you're doing something right, is you're going to want to change your job searching system in ways that build stronger trust. And then you'll have this handled, Greg. It's that simple, my friend. Yeah. So appreciate you. All right, guys, you keep the questions coming. I'm going to keep answering them because I love this crowd. Sabrina, of course, why wouldn't you put military experience on there? You served our nation, Sabrina. That's amazing. Right? So look, here's a perfect example. You could say, you're so welcome, Greg. You could say, hey, I know how to take risks. I know how to organize. I know how to lead. Or you could say you're a veteran. And anybody that's been a veteran or known a veteran, by and large part, will know that. It's the same thing with being a parent. Right? Now, I know moms have a raw deal on this because moms are, like a burden and dads are heroes. Sorry for the patriarchy. We apologize. And right, let's say you're a mom and you put that you're a mom on there. Okay? Anybody that's had a mom or been a mom is going to know that you've cleaned poopy butts at 2 a.m. And that tells us something about you. You could say, I know how to make sacrifice and problem solve and communicate, or you just say you're a parent. I don't know about you. I'm a parent. And when I meet another parent, trust goes up a lot because I know they've cleaned a poopy butt at 3 a.m. That tells me a lot about somebody. So this is how you be more human. Okay, let's see here. What else do we have? Other questions? All right, as long as you guys are sticking around, I'm going to ask. So Kiri, hey Kiri, you booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, Kiri. How about strategy of taking a job that's not your dream job? Yeah, so here's the thing on that, Kiri. People don't get hired because it's more often that people get passed over because they're overqualified than underqualified, right? Because if I'm overqualified, according to the employer, I'm going to leave in 10 minutes. I'm not going to do the job they want me to do because I was doing that job 10 years ago. And if I do, I'm not going to do it the way they want me to do it because I've been doing it for 10 years. Not only that, they're going to have to pay me more. Whereas the person that's just barely qualified, all of those things are reversed. So if you find that you're applying for jobs and you can't get any and you're aiming lower, that's just a vicious cycle, right? Like for a lot of us seasoned professionals, like I worked at McDonald's when I was like 18. I couldn't get a job at McDonald's right now. They wouldn't take me It's like, we're not going to waste time with you. Sheila, you booked a call. We're not going to waste time with you, right? We're not going to do it. You're going to leave in 5 minutes. So the opportunity instead is to aim higher. Sometimes I'll have clients do this. I'll have them apply for something that is objectively way above their pay grade. And you know what happens? They get interviews because we all discount ourselves. We all think we're less qualified than we actually are. Guys, you guys are a great crowd, man. If you haven't booked calls, I don't know what you're waiting for, right? The people on this call right now, you guys are asking such good questions. If you're struggling with your job search, we can get that handled. You guys are asking questions that are too good. All right, guys, any more questions? I'm game to take them. And I just want to thank Chris and Paula and Jelly and Jessa. You guys are doing an amazing job today. How do you talk about, okay, so let's practice on you, Aaron. So let's say Aaron just asked me to tell me about myself. So I'd be, Aaron, I love the fact that you're on this call an hour and 9 minutes into it. It tells me, Aaron, without knowing anything about you, that you're somebody who takes your career seriously, that you're somebody who's not messing around, that you're somebody who's willing to give up 59 minutes on a Tuesday in January to advance your career, to make the world a better place, to offer, earn what you and your family deserve. That freaking inspires me, Aaron. I have a history of success working with people like that. We get them hired. See how I pivoted to me, but I talked about you first, Aaron. And you probably didn't even realize that I wasn't talking about myself. And I suspect that felt pretty good. And I meant all of it, by the way. That's how you talk about them. All right. I like the smiley face, Aaron. All right. One more question. One more, and then we'll let it go if we have one more. All right, Jane, we're going to finish up with you. Yeah, we don't have to, Jane. You don't have to do anything. Right? You're so welcome, Aaron. Like, what you're going to want to do instead, book a call, Aaron, right? What you're going to want to do instead is have the ability to customize your resume, right? You have the opportunity to customize your resume, right? If you want to get hired fast, like customize your stuff, send a cover letter, follow up, make it about them. You don't have to make it so hard. You can by having a system that doesn't work very well, or you could adopt a system that works better, that's worked better for a lot of other people. Now, we don't know the exact setting on that big NORAD panel. We don't know like Jane's exact setting and Robin's exact setting, right? Or Aaron's exact setting or Colm's exact setting, but we know they have one, and we worked with enough people that we can make a pretty good guess. And sometimes we guess really damn close. People get hired in 2 weeks. That's happened. So guys, as I end here, I'm going to show you a bunch of testimonials. We've got about 1 million of them, right? From all the job seekers that we've helped. And in the meantime, I just want to acknowledge you for being here. You guys have been an especially, I don't know what's in the water today. You've been a very, very good crowd, which tells me we've got a good group of people. If you're looking for help with this stuff, if you want to get different results than the results you've been getting, if you're tired of struggling and doing this alone, come talk to us. Let's see what we can get handled for you. And I just really acknowledge you for being here, my friends. There are bright things on the horizon for you. Take care and hope to see you soon.
My name is Charlotte Jones. I got a new position and I got hired pretty fast in the last month of being with Win at Work. So I have been searching for a job for a little over 7 months, and I've been at Win at Work for just a month, for about 40 days. So I do really like the one-on-one time that I get with a coach or a career coach, counselor. And I also like that interaction and listening to the successes and the stories of how someone might be thinking about their job search, or how they might want to present themselves during interview, what may work and what hasn't worked. And I'd like to hear those stories from others, because I found that I was having some of the same experiences. And then really when it came down to getting an offer and being able to connect with Eric directly and really get that one-on-one coaching, that was truly helpful. I felt like that was a white glove service that was worth, getting involved with and connecting with Win at Work.
I started job searching a month before I started the program. It took me between 6 months and a year since COVID to find contract jobs. So when I got the notification, the Win at Work, get hired fast, it was called Get Hired Fast email, I said, I just knew immediately this was the way to go to quicken the time. I immediately jumped on this because in the past, it had just taken so long to find work and find the right kind of work. I mean, I've had in my career a couple of really horrible contracts, and I knew my biggest problem in getting hired was first my resume. I felt comfortable about interviewing with companies. The interviews I was not worried about. It really was the resume. Doing that master resume from beginning to end with everything on it was incredibly freeing. I joined on 529 on an 811. I had not only a job offer, but the job offer that I wanted. And that was incredible. When I got immersed in this whole program, there are so many great things here. Just learning all these new tools and tips. And it was the power hours. They were boosters. And I love the fact that they had a theme every week as you were, going through this process. And it was just so comforting to have that. And then the individual coaching sessions, those were great.
Hi, Mason Fisk, and I live outside of Boston currently. Before I joined, ironically, my interviews were actually high, and then my applications were low. I was really looking for something that was very hands-on. I was someone who, again, I felt like I always could figure things out myself, not doing them correctly. But then once I got into the program, it was kind of the opposite. Like, yes, it was casting a wider net, but at the same time, it was being very thorough. It really is all about your network. Broaden my network, really put myself out there, because I'm someone who is very keen on thinking I could do everything myself, and I know what I'm doing, but sometimes you don't know everything, and that's really how the success for me came out of this program. I have a job offer starting on Monday. Again, without that guidance, I probably would have fumbled it. Again, if you're hesitant for any reason, I have to say it's worth every penny at the end of the day. Eric does know what he's doing. He's created a great program that really hits all points during the entire job application process. The courses are, very thorough, giving tips and tricks and guidance on how to negotiate and get through those stages once you have an offer. And for me personally, I was able to get 25% more than I was previously making. Again, within almost 3 months, I'm back to work. So